Your cat walks up to a discarded, sweaty gym shoe on the floor, takes a long, slow sniff, and then freezes. The mouth cracks open, the upper lip peels back, the eyes half close into a vacant, thousand-yard stare directed at absolutely nothing. That grimace is a high-resolution biological scheme of the specific molecules trapped in your laundry. Biologists officially call it the Flehmen response. The term comes from a director at the Leipzig Zoo in 1930 who spent hours watching tigers make this exact same face. It looks involuntary, like a sneeze or a gag, but is actually a highly deliberate, premeditated physical action. When your cat freezes with its mouth hanging open, it is consciously activating a secondary sensory system. It is reading you on a very deeply personal chemical level. Cats essentially have two completely separate noses. The regular one handles everyday scents, like food or the litter box. But tucked into the roof of the mouth, right behind the front teeth, sits a tiny pair of hidden ducts. These ducts lead up into a specialized, crescent-shaped chamber called the vomer nasal or Jacobson's organ. This isolated structure detects heavy, non-volatile organic compounds. These are chemical signatures, like pheromones and hormones, that are too heavy to just float freely through the air. To grab those heavy molecules, the cat has to physically pump air across those ducts, trapping the chemical data against a sensory wall for intense analysis. Because this chamber wires directly into the brain's emotional center, the cat skips the normal thinking process. It stops smelling its environment and starts chemically feeling the biological signals left behind. Humans are constantly leaking data. Every breath and drop of sweat broadcasts an invisible trail of chemical information. Your body alters its chemical output based entirely on your internal state. You produce a different scent profile when relaxed than when you are stressed or afraid. To test if our pets can read these states, researchers at the University of Bari collected underarm sweat from people watching horror movies and compared it to sweat from people watching happy videos. They presented these varying emotional sweat samples to 22 ordinary house cats to see their reaction. The animals easily discriminated between the two. When investigating the fear sweat, the cats began exhibiting stress behaviors of their own, like flattening their ears and swishing their tails. The researchers also noticed a bizarre physical quirk. When the cats sniffed the fearful samples, they overwhelmingly favored using their right nostril. Scent processing in cats relies heavily on a concept called lateralization. Odors pulled through the right nostril travel straight to the right hemisphere of the brain. That specific hemisphere manages high arousal, intense emotion, and the assessment of active threats. The animal is taking your fear and using a specialized neurological pathway to route that data directly into its own survival instincts. You come home after a terrible, stressful day. You collapse onto the couch, and your usually aloof cat immediately climbs onto your chest and starts purring. This shift in behavior is driven by the invisible chemical signature you trail into the house. Your body is actively shutting cortisol and stress hormones, broadcasting your internal physiological state to anyone equipped to read it. Humans have about 5 million olfactory receptors to process the world around us. Cats possess up to 200 million. With that kind of sensory hardware, they detect the shift in your metabolic byproducts the second you walk through the door, long before you drop your keys or say a word. They approach you to perform a biological verification check. They need to ensure that their primary source of safety is still functioning and that their environment is secure. This constant monitoring allows the cat to confirm your identity and verify that its environment remains stable. Every grimace is a data point in a recurring biological agreement, a chemical contract that you are safe and you are still its person.